Hi, beautiful, and welcome to the Mom's Talk Sex podcast with me, Mor Yelvington, your host. I am so excited for this juicy conversation today with the beautiful Keana. Hey, Keana,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for being here. And how about you tell our listeners where you are and what it is that you do in the world?
Yes, I am located right outside of Chicago, Illinois. I'm in a suburb called Oak Lawn, and I am a former HR professional. Been in HR for 16 years, made the transition from corporate last April, decided to step into my purpose and speak, share my story of survival through emotional and mental distress, suicide survivor. Now I am focused on helping people step into their purpose, basically use their pain as strength, as their power, and to live authentically. As someone who struggled a lot with emotional challenges and sexual trauma and all types of trauma over the years, it affected me a lot as an adult. Most of it happened in my childhood, but as I grew older, I didn't understand the severity of what was happening and how it was affecting me in my daily life and the way I showed up in the world. I was once married, divorced now, and during the marriage, it got really tumultuous. I was going through a transition period spiritually, didn't understand it at the time, but there were moments where I didn't feel connected to my partner, my spouse. So I would step out of the marriage, basically stepping out, trying to find what it was that I was missing, but it was always within me. I had to understand that everything that I was trying to seek outside of myself was within. And because I had such a challenging upbringing with an alcoholic father, mom who transitioned when I was 16, I never got the foundation of what healthy, positive love looked like, nor did I understand what it meant as a divine feminine to honor her divine essence, her sexuality, her physical capabilities. And I would have sex with a lot of people, but it was never a connection. So essentially, I was always disconnected from my body, not understanding that that disconnection from my body was also the disconnection from my mind and my soul. So when things were not working out with these people, it wasn't a shock because I was never connected to begin with. And all I thought that I had to offer was my body, not understanding that my body is my temple, it's my gift, in addition to my mind and my soul. And during this transitionary period from where I was at 6 years ago after my suicide attempt to having to start over after separating from my husband, was my husband because now we're divorced. This 6 year period has shown me a lot about who I am as an individual, as a woman. And a lot of what I learned is in my relationships and the way I was interacting with the partners, with the people I was relating to or trying to relate to, because I wasn't quite getting what it was that I was seeking until I started getting quiet and understanding and listening to my heart and soul, listening to spirit, helping me see that I needed to be honest about what it was that I wanted and what I deserved. Stop giving myself to any and everybody and ending up again unfulfilled. So now I'm on a mission to help myself find my divine union as well as others. But I know that it starts within. It starts with us honoring ourselves, our values, our truth, our purpose. What am I here to do? Who am I? I know now who I am after all the trials and tribulations and all of the disconnections on a physical level with these people. I understand that I was so disconnected from my body because of sexual trauma. From a very early age, I thought that in order for me to make other people happy, I had to give them me. And it started when I was a child up into my adulthood. Even most recently, I had an experience actually in December, and something shook, something sparked inside of me because there was a sexual interaction where I wasn't quite coherent because I was taking muscle relaxers and the person decided to have sex with me, but I wasn't fully aware. So I had these glimpses and these flashbacks of what happened, but it triggered something deeper in me. And I felt like it was a past life experience or something that happened that snapped me out of this space of I need to value myself more. And it's time to heal from any sexual trauma and release that energy for myself, for my ancestors, my mom, my mom's mom, all of the women in my family that have ever felt unsafe in their bodies, who've ever had to experience being physically violated, because I know my mom experienced it. I know my grandmother experienced it. And I know it go on to prior generations. So I made it my mission now to end that generational curse, heal the ancestral wound, but healing within myself. And I'm grateful that I have a son, a 17-year-old son now. So now I get to teach him what it's like to respect a woman, mind, body, and soul. And he's at an age where, of course, he's hormonal. He has a girlfriend. Of course, sex is on his mind. But I want him to understand what it means when a woman is giving her body to you. Be very careful what that is, because when we give ourselves to you, we're creating this bond with people. And these people may not necessarily be the ones that we should be bonding with. So I want him to understand that we have to respect ourselves first before we just give anybody our bodies, and vice versa.
Yeah, wow. Thank you so much for sharing this because I think it's so important with the work that I do. I see so many women experiencing sexual trauma, as did I. And that was really the pivot point of healing all of that and
Yeah.
really allowing women to feel safe and seen in their body again, because essentially we've just been having our power taken away from us, and it's time to just reclaim our power back, and that's really what it's about. So I think it's amazing that you are doing this work and that you are doing it on you first and foremost. So what was the like awakening point for you when you realized there's something deeper that you need to look into? Like what was the awakening moment?
I think the first awakening moment was about a year ago. I was in a meditation, and during the meditation, there was this message that came in clear, and it says, "You're not safe in your body." And after the meditation, I sat with it for a while, and I started reflecting on all the ways I allowed myself to be violated. I mean, in terms of men just grabbing on me and me not verbalizing and communicating that I didn't feel comfortable with it. But then this past December, like I said, that last experience, something happened and it really triggered me. It scared me because in my mind, it kept feeling like somebody had raped me. And it just was like glimpses of me being there, but not physically being there. Then when I woke up, nobody was around, but I know someone was there. And that was the thing. That was my awakening moment for sure, because I realized that if somebody can do that to me in that state of mind and in that space, then they don't respect me. And I obviously don't respect me enough to realize that this person is not good for me. So that was initially the straw that broke the camel's back, and spirit got me to wake up completely.
Yeah. And what was the first step of seeking for help? Like, what did you start doing in order to heal all this trauma?
For me, I've done therapy for years. Now I'm at a space where I do a lot of somatic healing, a lot of spiritual healing as a life coach and as a spiritualist. I've done a lot of work on my own. 2 years ago, I went through a huge spiritual transformation. And it's during that work and everything that I've learned since then that has helped me be able to heal those wounds, as well as speaking about it. Because I know that there's strength and connection. Healing out loud, which is actually what I titled my book. There's power in being able to communicate the things that we've gone through, things that we've experienced. So the more I talk about it verbally, the more it helps me heal, while also journaling, praying, and meditating has helped me be able to move past it. And also confronting the person that essentially I felt violated from, because I don't have a problem communicating now where I felt wrong and violated, and letting people know and respectfully cutting them out of my life, but letting them know the reason why. So that's what I did in that situation.
I love that. And what would you say when you were married and you weren't aware of the trauma that you experienced? How would you say that was manifesting in your marriage? Because I feel like a lot of times we're not aware of the trauma. We're not aware that it's living in our body. We don't even know. So, how would you say that affected the marriage?
It affected the marriage immensely. We got married in 2012, December 31st. Less than 6 months later, I had already had an affair. And that was not usual for me. I've never been the type that would ever disrespect her partner. My husband and I had been together for 10 years. We already had a son. But I was going through this shift where my needs, I felt like my emotional needs weren't being met. I felt like my partner wasn't seeing me. And essentially, I was trying to get them to fix me. And because I was, again, trying to seek something from outside of myself, I kept trying to find other people to give it to me. And because that's all I thought I had to give was my body, that was the easiest thing to do. Knowing that I really didn't want to have an emotional connection with these people because they're not my partner, but let me just try to find some form of release, some form of escape. Again, it's not really fulfilling. And in the moment, yeah, it felt good. But once it was all said and done, I had to live with the guilt of that. I had to look at myself every day in the mirror and realize that not only am I fornicating, but I'm an adulterer and I'm lying to the man that I committed myself to.
Okay, so maybe let's repeat that part because it got cut off. So
Yeah.
you were mentioning how it was just like a moment of feeling good, but it wasn't worth it on the long run.
It was temporary gratification, a temporary means to an end, because when the act was over, I still have to go home and face my spouse. So I have to pretend to be somebody once again that I'm not. And I have to still face myself every day. I have to look at myself in the mirror and realize that not only am I lying to my partner, I'm being an adulterer, but I'm also lying to myself and disrespecting myself because it's me who was hurting the most. And that didn't work. After a while, I would have these affairs. And then once it was no longer fulfilling, I would end it or I would move on to something else. And it wasn't until one pivotal moment where it blew up our marriage. And it was basically the straw that broke the camel's back, that spirit was trying to get my husband and I to see that something had to change. And unfortunately, he and I couldn't work it out. We tried, but we had to go our own separate ways because I still had a lot of healing and growing to do. And so did he. We're in a good place today, but had I not gone through that, I wouldn't be able to be here with you today to talk about all of the sexual trauma that I've been through, all of the disrespectful things that I did to myself, because it wasn't easy to admit it. I was embarrassed, ashamed, having affairs with married men, things that, again, is not like me. But when you are not well and when you are not healed, you hurt and you try to find other people to fill that void. Then you have trauma bond, and hurt people, and heal people heal.
It's so true. And it's so courageous to say that and to actually take responsibility and ownership. And I think a lot of people that deal with trauma, how many people do you think that cheat from a place of trauma?
Oh gosh, I would say probably at least 90% of them, if not
Yeah.
more, because we all have trauma when you think about it. We all have some sort of trauma, whether we know it or not. And most of us have these affairs without even understanding the trauma. We don't understand ourselves. We don't even want to begin to even see ourselves, which is why I do what I do, because I'm ready to hold the mirror up to us to see that we deserve more. We deserve better than the way we've been living, but it's up to us to take accountability and responsibility for that.
Yes, 100%. So, what would you say to the woman listening to this that maybe feels like, her marriage isn't going the way she wants it to go, but she doesn't really know why, right? Like you didn't really know why you were acting the way you were acting until you were able to like tap into that, until you were able to see, okay, there's something behind my actions, my
Mm-hmm.
behaviors. What kind of hope can you give a person that's listening?
I would give the woman that's listening, that's feeling unhappy in her situation, I would ask her to just really dig deep and find out what it is that is creating this sense of unfulfillment. Where exactly do you feel unhappy? Is it with your partner or is it something deeper within? Because oftentimes the things that we're missing and that we're lacking in our partners is because we're missing and lacking it within ourselves. And we have to be able to find what we need in us first before we can expect anyone else to give it to us. And one of the things I always coach my clients on is the person that you're with, are they a reflection of you? Because I believe that our partners are reflections of us and we're reflections of them. So ask yourself, is the person that you're with, are they reflecting a version of you, or are they reflecting a version of the old you? Who do you want to be? How do you want to look? How do you want your relationships to look like? And be honest. We have to learn how to communicate too. That's the other issue. I didn't feel effective communication with my partner. He was shut down due to silent treatment. I would do the same. And then I would go outside the house and try to seek solace in others. It's so important that if we're in these relationships, we have to have solid, clear communication and not be afraid to have difficult conversations. The only way things will change is if we address it. The foundation has to be solid before anything can actually really grow and develop. So be honest about how you feel with the people that you love, especially your spouse.
I love that. That is so powerful and so true. Thank you so much for coming and talking with me about
Thank
this. This is a
you.
little different than what we normally talk about, but I think it's so important because so many times as women, we use sex. We use sex for money. We use sex to
We
exchange for power.
do.
We use our bodies, and we don't have to do that.
We
You can have
don't.
everything that you desire and still have an intimate, loving, caring relationship if you believe that you deserve that. If you believe that you're worthy of it. And I know that you are. I know that you're worthy
Yeah.
of it. So it's really doing that inner work and really clearing all that trauma to allow you to step in and reclaim your power, especially your sexual power, and not giving it to everybody, keeping it within you and
Mm-hmm.
choosing who you give it to.
I love how you said that. And I love that you said that because I've been talking a lot about that old power dynamic where women felt like we had to give our bodies in exchange for goods, for services, for means, for winning, and how the toxic masculine energy has always held this power and control over the divine feminine. And I'm here to balance out this dynamic in
Yes.
ourselves, in our families, in our households, and society overall. It's time to balance the divine masculine and the divine feminine. We can't continue living in that toxic dynamic. The world is evolving. We all have to evolve. Otherwise, we're going to miss out. This world is no longer living that way. The world is changing. We have to change too. And the divine feminine has to step into her divine power and see that she has a lot more to offer than her body because her heart and soul is priceless, and that's what matters the most.
My gosh, that's so true. And you're speaking my soul like mission. We're on the same page here. I feel so,
Yes.
so aligned with this. I call this your powerhouse, right? When you heal your powerhouse, everything
Mm-hmm.
just comes into alignment for you. And we have so many women walking around with these broken powerhouses and all their energy is just going elsewhere instead of coming inward. And this is
Yes.
really your call to bring it in and to heal that and to really connect to who you truly are. And the minute you do it, every other woman that's going to come next to you is going to feel that and start doing their work too. So you healing you just affects everybody around you. I see it
Yes.
time and time again. So thank you so much for doing this work and being on
Thank
this
you.
planet and going through it with and healing it with all of us. I am so honored that you're a sister to the journey.
Thank you. And thank you for having me and for the work that you're doing and shedding light on this exact topic because the world needs it. It's time. It's time for you. You stepping into your divine feminine, and I love it. And I continue to support you.
Thank you. So if anybody wants to find you, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram and Facebook at I am Keana Shatteen, Shatteen, as well as TikTok KS Empowerment and my YouTube KS Empowerment. I also have a book coming out titled Healing Out Loud. They can also go to my links on Instagram and Facebook to pre order. And they can follow me and also work with me. I do have a challenge coming up in February which I call the Align Liberation Challenge because I'm here to align the divine masculine and feminine. So I want to support us in any way I can.
Oh, I love that so much. That is amazing.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your energy and your knowledge. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the amazing work that you're doing in the world. And for you ladies listening, if you want any of Keana's support, just reach out. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and we'll make sure to answer them. Join the Mom Talk Sex community on Facebook, and I will tune in with you again next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.